Each title is judged on 6 main criteria: narrative depth, combat design, exploration, role-playing flexibility, writing quality, and of course, how satisfying the full completion experience was. Now, with all of that said and done, let's get nerdy. Fallout 2 builds on everything the original introduced and dials it all up another notch. Bigger world, more factions, more companions, and significantly more ways to break the game in half. In many ways, it's the ideal sequel. It expands the scope without losing the tone, adds more reactivity, and makes the post-apocalypse feel genuinely lived in. From a completionist perspective though, it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, the game is overflowing with content, side quests that go deep, towns react to your reputation, dialogues change based on your stats, perks, and previous actions. Some of the funniest and darkest moments in the series are buried in the optional content, and if you're thorough, you'll find them all. On the other hand, Fallout 2 is riddled with legacy jank. Quest logic can break if you don't do things in a specific order, important flags are never communicated, and you might lose access to quest lines without knowing they ever happened. The companion system is also quite clumsy. Party members run on outdated AI and need to be micromanaged constantly. Achievements aren't an issue here, but fully completing the game means tracking dozens of storylines, maintaining a clean karma run, and knowing which ending requires which invisible trigger. It is doable, it is satisfying, but at times it also feels like work. That puts Fallout 2 comfortably at number 10, a game that delivers on its promise, as long as you're willing to wrestle with it. You can actually tangibly feel the age on the original Baldur's Gate, but you can also feel its ambition. This is the foundation of the Infinity Engine era, and it still carries a kind of charm and clarity that later games sometimes lose in their complexity. From a completionist standpoint, it's a quite straightforward experience, but one with real structure and weight behind it. The narrative is linear but functional. Saravok is a great antagonist, and the journey from Candlekeep to the final confrontation feels purposeful. Side quests are sprinkled across the world map, and while they are rarely reactive, they are consistent. Towns have texture, dungeons have payoff, and everything feels like it is where it belongs. Combat is basic. Low-level D&D 2nd edition is not kind. You will miss a lot, but the difficulty curve is fair, and once you learn the rhythm, it becomes manageable. Companion variety is strong, even if personal quests are limited. 100%ing Baldur's Gate is refreshingly clean. The Enhanced Edition smooths out some rough edges. The quest journal is workable. You're not fighting the UI, just the dice. There's a sense of finality to the experience that many modern CRPGs lack. And at number 9, Baldur's Gate is here because it knows what it wants to be. It's focused, it's well-paced, and it still feels rewarding to fully complete decades after release. There are games on this list with better combat, cleaner interfaces, and more polished pacing, but none of them come close to what Planescape Torment does with narrative. It's a game obsessed with identity, memory, morality, and meaning, and somehow it explores all of that through dialogue trees and a corpse with tattoos on his back. That is impressive. What's more impressive is that it holds up today. From a completionist perspective, Torment is dense. Dialogue choices unlock content, attributes and alignments affect everything from available quests to how characters respond to you. Entire story arcs can be missed with the wrong response. Getting 100% therefore means rerunning conversations, exhausting every branch, and digging into every obscure corner of Sigil and beyond. It is not fast, but it is worth it. Combat is the weak point though. It's clunky, uninspired, and largely skippable. Most builds work, but nothing feels great. Thankfully, the game lets you bypass many encounters if you're smart about dialogue and stats. The world is a bizarre one in the best way possible. You will meet talking skulls, insane gods, sentient tattoos, and death cults who ask politely before killing you. It's a fascinating world to explore. Even minor side quests can contain profound writing or pitch black humor. At number 8, Torment earns its place not for its mechanics, but for how powerfully it delivers on narrative completion. There is nothing else quite like it on this list. Wasteland 3 is everything that Wasteland 2 wanted to be but couldn't quite reach. It tightens up the combat, sharpens the dialogue, and improves reactivity. It even trims the fat from the bloated formula. The result? A cold, violent, and often hilarious post-apocalyptic romp through Colorado, one that is most remarkably satisfying to complete. Narrative choices actually matter this time. Major decisions ripple across the world. Factions react to your actions. Companions get involved in moral debates, and you will find yourself locked out of content based on earlier choices. That's not just flavor, that's consequence, and it makes 100%ing the game a genuine challenge. Combat is vastly improved. The tactical layer has some real depth, with build variety being strong and perks feeling impactful. Enemy encounters escalate naturally, and there's a decent balance between combat, exploration, and downtime. What pushes Wasteland 3 this high is its tone. It's a hard thing to get right, but the game finds space for absurdist humor, bleak horror, and grounded character moments without feeling scattered. You can wipe out entire towns, rescue cultists, negotiate with cannibals, or even parlay with a robotic Ronald Reagan. And somehow it all feels quite coherent. Achievements are well designed, completion requires different morality paths and a few second runs, but nothing feels excessive or punishing. That lands Wasteland 3 at number 7 on my list, a game that respects your time and pays off your investment. Disco Elysium is not a traditional CRPG, but it absolutely belongs on this list. There are no party members to manage, no loot to chase, no traditional combat to master. Instead, you get a detective, a murder, a fractured mind, and a city that reflects every decision. It is dense, literally, and brutally self-aware. From a completionist angle, it is one of the most rewarding games here, and one of the hardest to 100%. The core mechanic is dialogue, and everything flows from it. Your stats are personalities. Your failures shape your character, and every interaction pushes you toward or away from a dozen possible outcomes. No two playthroughs are the same, and getting everything means seeing it from multiple psychological angles. The achievement list reflects exactly that. Some require you to fail spectacularly, others demand deep understanding of how internal monologues and story events unlock. It's not exactly intuitive, but it is fascinating. The game actively rewards curiosity and punishes complacency. The writing is next level. It is dense without being pretentious. It is funny, painful, and smart, and often in the same sentence. And it treats your time with respect. Every side quest means something. Every choice closes a door and opens another. At number 6, Disco Elysium is a masterclass in narrative design. It is lean, focused, and consistently surprising. A game that proves 100%ing does not always mean doing more, just doing it differently. Pillars of Eternity is where the modern CRPG revival truly found its footing. It is Obsidian's love letter to the Infinity Engine era, and while it wears those influences proudly, it also carves out its own identity. The lore is super dense, the mechanics are intimidating, and the depth of reactivity both in the world and your choices are seriously impressive. From a completionist standpoint, Pillars is incredibly rewarding. The world is handcrafted, side quests are meaningful, companion arcs, while more subtle than in later games, evolve in thoughtful ways. There's a real sense that your actions shape how the story lands. Even the final act, often a weakness in CRPGs, closes with weight. Combat is where the game takes time to open up. It's not friendly to newcomers. Engagement mechanics, poor rest abilities, and a dense spell system makes for a steep learning curve, but once you get it, it's excellent. Boss fights demand strategy, and builds feel distinct, and there's just enough room for creative problem solving. The achievement list supports deep exploration without forcing repetitive grind. The expansions, especially the White March, are tough but fair, and they add meaningful content to the overall arc. At number 5, Pillars of Eternity earns its place because it brings nearly everything together. Rich world building, solid mechanics, meaningful choices, and it respects the time you spend completing it. Divinity Original Sin 2 is a systems showcase, an RPG that encourages you to poke at every edge of its world just to see what breaks. And the wild thing is, almost nothing does. It's held together by deeply flexible mechanics, expressive writing, and one of the most replayable structures in the genre. Combat is outstanding. Every spell has synergy. Every enemy can be exploited. Every surface can be turned into a weapon. Whether you are teleporting enemies into lava, chaining together poison clouds and fireballs, or one-shotting bosses with a cheese build, the game constantly rewards creativity, and that's rare. From a completionist perspective, it's dense without being bloated. Each act is packed with optional content, but most of it is rich with story, character, or mechanical challenge. Companions have entire quest lines with branching outcomes. Dialogue choices matter. There are multiple endings, and there's a full tag system that changes how people react to you based on race, origin, or class. It's brilliant. The achievement list is well considered. You'll need multiple runs, but the game structure supports that. Replay value is quite high, and it's designed for it. You can't see everything in one go, and Original Sin 2 makes no apology for that. At number 4, Original Sin 2 is one of the most complete packages in the genre. As a pure 100% experience, it's generous, clever, and endlessly satisfying. Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous is a monstrosity. There is no other way to describe it. It is simply one of the most content-rich, mechanically dense, narratively ambitious CRPGs ever made. And for the type of player who wants to squeeze every single drop out of a game, every ending, every build, every moral fork, there's almost nothing that comes close. Let's start with mechanics. The character creation system is absurdly deep. Dozens of classes, subclasses, mythical paths, alignment options, companion synergies, and difficulty settings. Combat is complex and at times quite punishing. It demands build knowledge, it rewards long-term planning, and it gives you enough tools to break it wide open if you know how. Narrative reactivity is equally impressive. Mythic paths radically alter how the game unfolds, from quest lines to endings to how your companions view you. The writing ranges from epic to deeply personal, and while the pacing falters at times, the payoffs are huge. Major decisions carry weight, and entire regions change based on your morality. From a 100% standpoint, this is one of the most demanding games on the list. You will need multiple full playthroughs to see everything. Some achievements are easy to miss, others are locked behind specific builds or choices, but the sheer volume of content and the reward for completion is staggering. Wrath of the Righteous is overwhelming, brilliant, occasionally broken, and completely unforgettable. Baldur's Gate 3 is the most impressive modern CRPG ever made. It's bold, polished, reactive, and built from the ground up to support player expression. And most importantly for this list, it's a game that fully embraces what it means to be completed. This is not just a long game, it's a dense one. Every quest, dialogue branch, and companion storyline has multiple outcomes. Entire chunks of content are locked behind class choices, origin, or skill interactions. But it's not just about variety, it's about consequence. What you say and do matters across acts. Characters remember, the world changes, and the endings reflect everything you did to get there. Combat is exceptional. Larian's take on 5th edition D&D is deeply flexible, and fights scale beautifully with your growing knowledge of the systems. There is also room to experiment, to min-max, or to cheese your way through with creative use of surfaces, spells, and/or summons. And the game never punishes you for thinking outside of the box. 100% completing Baldur's Gate 3 was an enormous task. There are hundreds of achievements, dozens of mutually exclusive paths, and multiple origin characters that function as full campaigns of their own. But the thing is, it's worth it. Every replay, every side route, every missable moment, it all delivers. At number 2, BG3 is one of the most ambitious RPGs of its generation. And in my humble opinion, there is only one game that still stands taller. There's a reason Baldur's Gate 2 still sits at the top of many lists, and it's not nostalgia, it's craft, it's balance, it's structure. This is a game that respects your time, rewards curiosity, and challenges your decision making, and somehow still feels complete 20 years later. For a 100% completionist, it is almost perfect. Every companion is a full character arc. Some of them change depending on your choices, whereas others simply leave or die. Some even betray you. Questlines are sprawling but tightly written. Side content is everywhere, but it all feels authored. You are not just checking boxes, you're unraveling stories that truly matter. Combat is brutal and brilliant. This is where real-time with pause hits its peak. Spells interact in complex ways. Bosses are smart. Encounters are designed to test how well you understand your party, not how quickly you can click. Building a team that can handle everything the game throws at you is one of the most satisfying challenges in the genre. What elevates it above everything else is pacing. Shadow of Arm delivers quality at every turn. The cities are dense, the dungeons are tight, the finale lands, the Throne of Baal expansion gives the story a powerful end cap, and it never wastes your time. Baldur's Gate 2 remains the high watermark, not just for classic RPGs, but for what the entire genre can be when every part of design works in harmony.